Have you ever witnessed someone who seems immune to life's cruelest storms, who navigates betrayal, loss, and catastrophe with an otherworldly composure that makes them appear almost untouchable? What if this isn't a mystical gift or genetic advantage, but rather the result of 13 specific mental laws that have been refined over 2 millennia by philosophers who faced challenges that would obliterate most modern minds? Tonight, we embark on a profound journey through 13 Stoic laws that will forge your consciousness into an unshakable fortress, transforming you from someone who is perpetually disturbed by circumstances into someone who remains centered regardless of what chaos erupts around you. Before we dive into these life-altering principles, I want you to engage with this content in a way that demonstrates your commitment to genuine transformation. Like this video if you're ready to discover what true mental invincibility looks like. Subscribe to Inner Dominion because we're creating a sanctuary for minds that refuse to be controlled by external chaos. Share this with someone who deserves to remember that their inner stability is their most sacred possession. And comment below with the one situation that currently shakes you most, because by the end of this exploration, you'll possess the mental architecture to remain unshaken even by that. These 13 laws have been tested by Roman emperors facing barbarian invasions, by slaves enduring unimaginable cruelty, by philosophers confronting exile and death, and they will work for you if you apply them with the dedication they deserve. The first law establishes the foundational distinction that separates mental slaves from free human beings. Master the absolute dichotomy of control with surgical precision. Epictetus, who understood both literal chains and the invisible shackles that bind most minds, taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our confusion about what lies within our sphere of influence. When your world erupts into chaos, when trusted partners betray you, when financial security evaporates overnight, when health crises emerge without warning, your untrained mind immediately begins frantically searching for something to control, something to blame, some way to force reality into compliance with your preferences. But the Stoic mind, disciplined through daily practice in this essential distinction, responds with radical clarity. It immediately separates the situation into 2 categories: what is up to me and what is not up to me. Your spouse's decision to leave is not up to you, but how you process that departure, what lessons you extract, and how you rebuild your life absolutely are. The market's impact on your investments is not up to you, but your preparation for volatility, your response to losses, and your strategic decisions moving forward completely are. Your colleague's betrayal is not up to you, but your professional response, your emotional regulation, and the boundaries you establish for future relationships entirely are. When you stop wasting precious mental energy attempting to control the uncontrollable, something extraordinary happens. You discover vast reserves of power that can be directed toward what actually matters. This isn't resignation. It's the ultimate form of personal responsibility, taking complete ownership of your sphere while releasing yourself from the impossible burden of managing the universe. The second law introduces a practice that might initially seem pessimistic, but proves to be one of your most powerful tools for maintaining stability. Embrace negative visualization as psychological preparation. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of difficulties, not to invite trouble or cultivate anxiety, but to build mental resilience through careful rehearsal of challenging scenarios. Every morning, spend time considering what might go wrong in your most important relationships, projects, and plans. Not to manifest problems, but to prepare your consciousness, so that if difficulties arise, they encounter a mind that has already explored that territory. Visualize your most crucial business partnership dissolving acrimoniously, your primary income source disappearing unexpectedly, or receiving devastating health news about someone you love. By mentally rehearsing these possibilities with clarity and composure, you accomplish something profound. You reduce their psychological impact if they actually occur because you've already faced them in your imagination and developed response strategies. When the real-life version unfolds, it feels manageable rather than catastrophic, familiar rather than shocking. This practice isn't about becoming cynical or expecting disaster. It's about building unshakable confidence in your ability to handle whatever existence presents. The person who regularly practices negative visualization discovers that most fears lose their power when examined directly, and that they possess far more resilience than they previously imagined. The third law addresses the most common source of unnecessary suffering and offers complete liberation from self-imposed mental torture. Refuse to suffer imagined troubles before they occur. Marcus Aurelius observed that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, that the mind left undisciplined will conjure thousands of catastrophic scenarios that never materialize while destroying your peace in the present moment. When faced with uncertainty about the future, your untrained mind immediately begins generating worst-case scenarios, playing them on repeat until anxiety becomes your constant companion. The Stoic understands that this mental habit serves no constructive purpose and actively undermines your ability to respond wisely to actual challenges when they arise. Future problems, if they occur, will require your full attention and clear thinking, both of which are compromised when you've already exhausted yourself fighting battles that exist only in your imagination. Stay present with what is actually happening rather than what might happen, and you'll discover that most of your suffering was self-created and completely unnecessary. The fourth law reveals something that might challenge your assumptions about achievement and setbacks. Treat success and failure as equally irrelevant to your essential worth. Marcus Aurelius used the metaphor of a rock thrown into the air. It gains nothing by going up and loses nothing by coming down, remaining fundamentally unchanged regardless of external circumstances. Whether you experience promotion or termination, praise or criticism, financial gain or loss, you remain the same person with the same intrinsic value and the same capacity to choose your response. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to outcomes or abandoning ambition. It means recognizing that your worth as a human being isn't determined by external fluctuations. Success doesn't make you better than others, and failure doesn't make you less valuable. Both are temporary external circumstances that have no bearing on your character, integrity, or essential nature. When you truly internalize this perspective, you become immune to the psychological whiplash that destroys most people's stability as their circumstances change. The fifth law provides the foundation for consistent daily progress regardless of how you feel. Commit to doing one meaningful thing each day, regardless of motivation or mood. The Stoic mind understands that waiting for perfect conditions, ideal motivation, or favorable circumstances is a recipe for perpetual stagnation. Excellence is built through the accumulation of small, consistent actions performed regardless of whether you feel like doing them. Choose one practice that aligns with your deepest values. Whether it's physical exercise, studying philosophy, developing a skill, or maintaining important relationships, and commit to doing it daily regardless of external circumstances or internal resistance. This single practice becomes your anchor, proof that you can maintain discipline when everything else feels chaotic, evidence that your actions flow from principles rather than emotions. The sixth law transforms how you relate to beauty and meaning in your daily existence. Make beautiful choices in small moments. The Stoic recognizes that character is revealed not in grand gestures but in countless minor decisions. How you speak to service workers, whether you return extra change from a cashier, how you respond when no one is watching. Every moment presents an opportunity to choose between what is easy and what is right, between what serves your immediate desires and what aligns with your deepest values. Beauty, in the Stoic sense, isn't about aesthetics. It's about integrity, about creating coherence between your values and your actions. When your choices consistently reflect your principles, you develop an inner harmony that no external chaos can disturb. This practice turns ordinary moments into opportunities for character development and transforms daily life into a continuous expression of your highest self. The seventh law provides a powerful filter for decision-making and mental clarity. Constantly ask yourself, is this necessary? In a world overflowing with information, opportunities, obligations, and distractions, the Stoic mind maintains focus by ruthlessly evaluating what deserves attention and what should be ignored. Before engaging in any conversation, pursuing any goal, or allowing any thought to consume mental energy, ask whether this truly serves your development or merely feeds ego, anxiety, or meaningless busyness. This question cuts through the noise of modern life and reveals what actually matters. Most of what occupies your attention is neither necessary nor beneficial. It's simply habit, social pressure, or mental laziness. When you begin eliminating the unnecessary, you create space for what truly matters to flourish. The eighth law offers a radical approach to one of life's most persistent challenges: love your fate, whatever it brings. The Stoic doesn't merely accept difficult circumstances, they embrace them as exactly what is needed for their development. This isn't delusional thinking or forced optimism. It's the recognition that fighting against reality is the source of unnecessary suffering, while accepting and working with what actually exists opens possibilities for growth and wisdom. When setbacks occur, instead of asking, "Why me?" or "Why now?" the Stoic asks, "What is this here to teach me? And how can I use this experience to become stronger, wiser, or more compassionate?" This shift in perspective transforms every challenge from a problem to be solved into a curriculum for character development. The ninth law addresses one of the most destructive patterns in human relationships and social interaction. Be strict with yourself and understanding with others. Your standards are for you. They represent your commitment to becoming the person you want to be. But imposing those same standards on others without their consent creates resentment, conflict, and unnecessary suffering for everyone involved. The Stoic maintains rigorous personal discipline while extending patience and compassion to others who are at different stages of their development. This doesn't mean accepting abuse or compromising your boundaries. It means recognizing that other people's choices reflect their current understanding and circumstances, not their essential worth. You can maintain your integrity while still loving people who live differently, holding yourself accountable while forgiving others their mistakes. The 10th law reveals the hidden opportunity within every difficulty. Transform obstacles into fuel for your growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our inner power reacts to events by accommodating itself to what it faces, turning obstacles into fuel like a fire that burns brighter when more material is thrown onto it. Every setback contains raw material for developing resilience, wisdom, patience, or compassion, but only if you approach it with the right mindset. When faced with betrayal, you develop discernment about character and learn to trust your instincts. When confronting loss, you discover what truly matters and develop appreciation for what remains. When navigating failure, you build humility and perseverance. The obstacle doesn't just block your path, it becomes the path itself, shaping you into someone capable of handling greater challenges with grace. The 11th law confronts one of modern life's most anxiety-provoking realizations and transforms it into a source of clarity. Remember that you are dying every day. Seneca taught that death isn't an event that happens to us in the future. It's a process happening right now as each moment passes and becomes irretrievable. This isn't meant to create morbid obsession, but to awaken you to the preciousness of time and the importance of living with intention. When you truly absorb that your time is finite and irreplaceable, trivial concerns lose their power to disturb your peace. Arguments with loved ones seem less worth the anger when you remember that your time together is limited. Career setbacks appear less devastating when measured against the brevity of existence. Social media conflicts become laughably insignificant when viewed from the perspective of mortality. The 12th law provides protection against one of the most persistent sources of mental agitation in our interconnected world. Focus relentlessly on your own progress rather than comparing yourself to others. The comparison trap has been amplified exponentially by social media, where everyone's highlight reel becomes the backdrop against which you judge your behind-the-scenes reality. The Stoic mind recognizes this as a form of psychological self-harm that serves no constructive purpose. Your only meaningful competition is with your previous self. Are you more disciplined today than yesterday? More patient with your family? More focused on what truly matters? More aligned with your values in the decisions you make? These questions lead to genuine growth and sustainable satisfaction, while comparing your struggles to others' curated presentations leads only to unnecessary suffering and misdirected energy. The 13th and final law synthesizes all the others into a way of being that makes you virtually untouchable by external chaos. Live according to your values, not your emotions. Your feelings are weather systems in the sky of consciousness, sometimes stormy and turbulent, sometimes calm and clear, always changing and ultimately temporary. But your values are like mountains beneath the sky, unmoved by atmospheric conditions, providing stable reference points for navigation, regardless of the emotional climate you're currently experiencing. When someone attacks your character unfairly, your immediate emotional response might be anger, hurt, or the desire for revenge. But when you've trained yourself to respond according to your values rather than your emotions, you pause and ask, what does wisdom require in this situation? What would integrity, courage, justice, and self-discipline look like in my response? Sometimes this means addressing the attack directly but without personal malice. Sometimes it means maintaining dignified silence while privately dismissing feedback from someone whose judgment you don't respect. Living this way requires constant vigilance and daily practice because emotions are immediate while values require reflection, but it creates an internal stability that no external force can shake. People learn to trust you because your responses flow from consistent principles rather than fluctuating feelings. You develop unshakable self-respect because regardless of outcomes, you know you've acted in alignment with your deepest convictions about what kind of person you want to be. These 13 laws aren't theoretical concepts to be understood intellectually. They are practices to be lived daily, disciplines to be developed over years, mental technologies to be applied in real situations when your stability is genuinely threatened. The mind protected by these principles doesn't become cold or unfeeling. It becomes like water, flexible enough to flow around obstacles while maintaining its essential nature, strong enough to carve through stone over time, clear enough to reflect reality accurately. When chaos inevitably erupts in your life, and it will, because chaos is woven into the fabric of existence, these 13 laws become your refuge. You immediately distinguish between what you can and cannot control. You draw on your mental preparation for difficult scenarios. You refuse to suffer imagined troubles. You treat success and failure with equal composure. You maintain your daily practices. You make beautiful choices in small moments. You eliminate the unnecessary. You love your fate. You remain strict with yourself while understanding with others. You transform obstacles into fuel. You remember your mortality. You focus on your own progress. And you respond according to your values rather than your emotions. These laws don't eliminate difficulties from your life. Nothing can do that. But they transform your relationship with difficulty from victimhood to mastery, from helplessness to power, from anxiety to unshakable peace. The ancient Stoics discovered something that our crisis-driven culture has largely forgotten. True security comes not from controlling external circumstances, but from building an internal fortress that remains calm and clear, regardless of what storms rage beyond its walls. As you prepare for sleep tonight and whatever tomorrow may bring, remember that you now possess the blueprint for psychological invincibility. The only question remaining is whether you will commit to the daily practice required to build this fortress within your own consciousness. What kind of person will you choose to become when life tests these principles? And how will you begin building that unshakable foundation today?